Dillon Gabriel's stat line tells only part of the story. Beneath the surface lies a coaching staff paralyzed by indecision. Despite completing fewer than 60% of his passes and giving away key possessions, Gabriel remains the default choice, protected by a front office desperate to justify its draft pick. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, gifted, available, and reportedly healthy, sits benched, sidelined not by injury, but by an outdated philosophy that prioritizes internal control over on-field results.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Kevin Stefanski, caught between pressure and politics, appears powerless to pivot. The cost? Cleveland's already slipping season and the erosion of trust within the locker room. By clinging to a crumbling plan, the Browns are sacrificing both present wins and future success. This isn't just about a quarterback battle. It's a slow-motion implosion of leadership vision. The refusal to start Sanders highlights how Cleveland's short-term calculations are setting fire to long-term potential. At 2-6, the franchise isn't just losing games, it's losing direction. After weeks of speculation, a lingering injury no one could quite pin down, and mounting fan outrage, the narrative around Cleveland's quarterback disaster has finally reached a breaking point. This isn't just another case of a rookie waiting his turn. It's a story of dysfunction, denial, and the very public unraveling of a franchise that keeps tripping over its own ego. Let's cut to it. The Browns are 2-6. The offense is flat. The energy is gone. And through all of it, Shedeur Sanders, one of the most talked about prospects in years, the son of Deion Sanders, a quarterback with poise, pedigree, and serious potential, has been stuck on the bench with a phantom injury. The details? Still vague. Still unconfirmed. Still suspicious. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel is starting. And struggling. His numbers don't lie. Under 60% completion rate, turnover issues, safety blunders, and a conservative, joyless style of play that screams we're just trying not to lose, rather than we're trying to win. And yet, week after week, the Browns continue to run it back with Gabriel, while Sanders, the franchise's best shot at relevance, is treated like a liability. But the story behind the scenes? That's where it really starts to unravel. Insiders have been clear. Kevin Stefanski reportedly wanted Sanders to start. He pushed for it. He saw what everyone else saw, that the offense needed a spark, and Sanders was the only one capable of delivering it. But the decision didn't stick. Why? Because Stefanski, like the rest of this organization, is operating in a climate of fear. Fear of change. Fear of disruption. Fear of giving up control. There's a theory that Stefanski preferred Bailey Zappe as the backup, not because Zappe's the better quarterback, but because he's less of a threat to the hierarchy. Safer, more predictable, easier to manage. It's the classic NFL control play. Stick with a guy who won't challenge you, who won't bring a spotlight, and who won't blow up your carefully managed narrative. But here's the thing, that strategy might work for a few games, maybe even a season. But when you're losing, and your decisions are actively hurting the team, that's when it all starts falling apart. The Browns are losing. The fan base knows it. The media knows it. And the league knows it. The whispers around the organization have turned into full-blown disbelief. Everyone is asking the same question. Why isn't Shedeur playing? This isn't about coddling a rookie. This isn't about development or injury management. This is about control, egos, and a franchise that's more interested in saving face than fielding its best talent. The situation isn't just dysfunctional, it's embarrassing. The Browns' reluctance to start Sanders isn't based on football logic. It's rooted in fear. Fear that if Shedeur steps in and plays well, the entire system is exposed. The draft decision to take Dillon Gabriel early? Exposed. The coaching approach? Exposed. The front office evaluations? Exposed. So instead of facing that possibility, they stall. They cite vague injury concerns. They make cryptic statements. They kick the can down the road while the season slips away. But here's what they're actually doing. They're wasting one of the most promising quarterback talents on their roster. They're burning the clock on Sanders' rookie year, not to protect him, but to protect themselves. And in doing so, they're losing far more than just games. They're losing goodwill. They're losing fan trust. And they're putting Sanders in a situation that could tank his development and his market value. By not playing him, they're not just holding back a player. They're actively lowering his stock. If you're trying to build around a young quarterback, these are the reps he needs. These are the moments that build confidence, chemistry, leadership. Sanders is losing all of that while watching a struggling offense flounder from the sidelines. And the front office? General Manager Andrew Berry is now in the crosshairs. His personnel choices, including the overinvestment in Gabriel and the mysterious handling of Sanders, are being dissected in real time. From poor talent evaluations to baffling draft decisions, the entire leadership structure is being questioned, and rightfully so. This season was already teetering, but the quarterback fiasco has exposed something deeper, a complete lack of strategic vision. A team more interested in maintaining narratives than winning football games. If that wasn't enough, the Deshaun Watson factor hangs in the air. Will he return? Will he complicate the QB room even further? And what happens when Sanders is finally healthy? Does he leapfrog Gabriel? Does he sit behind Watson? It's not just a depth chart issue anymore. It's a credibility issue. And make no mistake, the pressure is building. Fans have had enough. Local reporters are calling out the inconsistencies. Analysts are openly mocking the Browns' logic. And if Shedeur or his camp decides to speak publicly, if Deion Sanders decides to enter the conversation, this quiet dysfunction becomes a full-blown media explosion. Because Sanders isn't just another name. His family has reach. His story has traction. And the longer he sits, the louder the questions get. Every game Sanders misses is another opportunity lost. And with the Browns at 2-6, it's not just about salvaging the season anymore. It's about salvaging the future. Starting him now wouldn't fix everything, but it would do something this organization desperately needs. Show a willingness to change, to take a risk, to stop managing the optics and start managing the team. Instead, we're watching a masterclass in how to fumble a quarterback situation again. And at some point, Shedeur will act. He has the leverage. Whether it's through media pressure, trade talk, or public statements, Sanders doesn't have to play along forever. If the Browns won't make a move, someone else will. And when they do, Cleveland will be left explaining how they lost a potential franchise QB without ever giving him a chance. This is what happens when fear guides strategy. This is what happens when ego gets in the way of talent. And this is what happens over and over again in Cleveland. Let me know what you think. Should Shedeur already be starting? Is this just another chapter in the Browns' legacy of wasted potential? Or is there still a path to get this right before it's too late? Drop a comment with your take. Like the video if you're tired of teams playing scared. And subscribe if you want the full breakdown when this thing finally blows up, because something tells me it's not far off. You have to wonder, what exactly are the Browns waiting for? They're 2-6. The offense is stuck in mud. The locker room morale? Reportedly low. The fans? Fully checked out. And yet, somehow, the decision-makers in Cleveland continue to act like there's still something to protect. Like preserving Dylan Gabriel's ego or Kevin Stefanski's system is worth more than getting your most talented quarterback on the field. It's delusional. Because let's be honest, this isn't a playoff-bound team. It's not a system that's just one piece away. This is a broken offense, led by a quarterback who has, at best, managed to tread water, and at worst, actively sunk drives with conservative play, low completion percentages, and costly mistakes. Gabriel's not just underperforming. He's regressing. And still, Shedeur Sanders waits. Not because he's incapable. Not because he's not ready. But because a group of executives and coaches are terrified of what his success might mean. Let that sink in. The biggest threat to the Browns' power structure is their own quarterback succeeding. That's where this has gotten. It's not about football anymore. It's about optics, draft capital, control, and career preservation. If Sanders comes in and immediately elevates the offense, if he injects life into the playbook, opens up the field, connects on throws Gabriel couldn't even attempt, then everything falls apart for the people who bet big on a different direction. And you know what? That should happen. It needs to happen. Because every day this team continues down the current path, it sends a message to the league and to the locker room that performance doesn't matter. Politics does. Loyalty to bad decisions does. That's a dangerous precedent, especially for a franchise that has already spent years being the cautionary tale. It also shows you exactly why Cleveland can't seem to build momentum. Even when they luck into talent, even when they draft someone who could finally be the answer, they hesitate. They hedge. They hide behind vague statements and long-term development plans while the season collapses around them. Let's not pretend there hasn't been time. 8 games into the season. Multiple chances to make a switch. And now, the clock is ticking louder than ever. Not just because of the team's record, but because the whispers aren't whispers anymore. The media is calling it out. Former players are asking the hard questions. Analysts are breaking down every snap, every misread, every red flag in Gabriel's game. And they're all coming to the same conclusion. You have Shedeur Sanders sitting on the bench, and you're doing nothing with him. It's football malpractice. And it's not just harming this season, it's harming his future. Because what happens if the Browns ride this thing out with Gabriel, finish 4-13, and then decide in the offseason to trade Shedeur? Or worse, bring in another veteran and bury him even deeper? By then, the damage will already be done. He'll have missed out on a crucial year of development, on live reps, on building chemistry with the team that's supposed to support him. That kind of mismanagement can stall a career. And everyone around the league knows it. Shedeur's value isn't just based on what he did in college or his potential. It's tied to what happens now, this year, his rookie season, sitting on the bench with no clear plan, behind a quarterback who's actively dragging the offense down, does nothing but hurt his standing. And frankly, it's infuriating to watch, especially when you consider who his father is. Deion Sanders isn't just a football legend. He's a brand, a media force, a walking headline. And while he's stayed relatively quiet through all of this, how long do you really think that's going to last? At some point, if this dysfunction continues, if Shedeur keeps getting iced out without justification, Deion will speak. And when he does, it's not going to be subtle. Because this isn't just about a team making a questionable football call. It's about a team actively choosing to sideline one of its best prospects for reasons that no one can clearly explain. And when you got a player with a family like the Sanders, connected, vocal, respected, this isn't something that stays behind closed doors. This could go public, loudly. And at that point, the Browns won't be able to hide behind team strategy or quarterback competition. They'll be forced to answer the uncomfortable questions. Why was he benched? Why wasn't he given a chance? What was the real reason for the delay? And perhaps most damning, what were you so afraid of? Because make no mistake, fear is at the center of all this. Fear of being wrong. Fear of losing control. Fear of upsetting a fragile hierarchy built on questionable decisions. The irony? That fear is already doing damage. The Browns are losing control. The front office is being questioned. And the fans are done waiting. They've seen this movie before. The talent comes. The hype builds. The team squanders it with indecision and politics. And then, when it all falls apart, they act surprised. But this time, the stakes are even higher. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie quarterback. He represents a shift, a potential turning point, a chance for Cleveland to break the cycle. And instead of leaning into that, they're recoiling, retreating, protecting a status quo that hasn't worked in decades. It's pathetic. The writing's on the wall. The fanbase wants Sanders. The analysts are demanding it. Even members of the coaching staff reportedly wanted it. And yet the people with the power to make the call are too locked into their own egos to act. So now we wait. We wait to see how long this team will continue to sabotage itself. How long Shedeur will sit. How long Deion stays silent. How long Kevin Stefanski survives a decision-making structure that's spiraling by the week. And if the Browns finally do put Shedeur in, if they wait until the season is unsalvageable, and then decide to test drive the rookie just to pacify the crowd, it may be too late. Not just for the season, but for the relationship, for the trust, for the future. Because no player forgets being benched for political reasons. No player forgets being held back while the team burned. And no franchise can build around a quarterback they refuse to believe in when it actually mattered. So here's the bottom line. The Browns have a choice. They can keep pretending that Dillon Gabriel is the answer. They can keep hiding behind PR statements, long-term plans, and excuses no one's buying. Or they can take a hard look at the scoreboard, the tape, and the locker room, and admit the obvious. It's time to start Shedeur Sanders. It should have happened weeks ago. It should have happened when the offense first stalled out. When Gabriel made the same mistakes twice. When the media started raising their eyebrows. When Stefanski first reportedly asked for the switch. But now it's not just a smart move. It's a necessary one. Because if they don't, if the front office continues to bury their heads in the sand while the season burns, they won't just lose games. They'll lose the locker room, the fans, the player, the future. The Browns don't have a quarterback problem. They have a leadership problem. Because when you have a 2-6 record, a fan base openly revolting, an offense operating like it's underwater, and a first-round quarterback sitting on the bench collecting dust, you're not just making bad decisions, you're making statements. And those statements are loud, clear, and damning. They're saying, we care more about being right than getting it right. They're saying, we'd rather protect our bad draft picks than give our best prospect a shot. They're saying, we'll burn the season down before we admit the system is broken. And all of that is how you lose more than games. That's how you lose the franchise. Let's be honest. At this point, the Browns aren't just reluctant to start Shedeur Sanders. They're actively avoiding it. He's healthy enough to go. There's no confirmed structural damage. No real timetable. No clear injury report. Just a convenient, foggy issue that allows them to avoid the real conversation. And that conversation is, why won't they put him in the game? They know what could happen if he does. Because if Shedeur steps on that field and performs, even halfway decently, it opens up a Pandora's box the Browns' leadership clearly isn't prepared to deal with. It means Dillon Gabriel, the quarterback they reached for, the guy they put their reputations behind, was a mistake. It means their offensive design doesn't actually need to be as conservative and bland as it's been. It means the excuses stop. And that's what terrifies them. Because the truth is, Shedeur isn't just another young QB. He comes with weight. His name carries influence. His camp isn't just going to sit back and wait their turn while the team fumbles their way through meaningless losses. And when a player like that gets benched for no clear reason, people notice. The media notices. The players notice. The agents, the executives, the entire league starts watching to see what's really going on in Cleveland. That's already happening now. You've got local reporters asking pointed questions. You've got analysts dragging the offense on national television. You've got fan forums exploding with conspiracy theories and frustration. The narrative has turned. This is no longer about waiting until Shedeur is ready. This is about a franchise looking scared of its own future. Because once they start him, once Shedeur finally gets that first start, it's game over for the old plan. There's no going back. There's no protecting Gabriel. No salvaging the original blueprint. You're now building around Sanders, for better or worse. And to this front office, that risk, that loss of control, is scarier than continuing to lose games with a quarterback everyone can see isn't cutting it. And it's not just Stefanski's seat heating up, it's Andrew Berry's too. The GM has now been linked to multiple personnel decisions that are aging like expired milk. From the Gabriel pick to the handling of Watson to the current quarterback carousel of confusion, it's all being laid bare. And if this season keeps spiraling, there's no shield left to hide behind. The public's patience is gone. And the internal fractures are no longer theoretical. They're visible in real time. Players feel it. The energy on the field? Lifeless. The sideline body language? Checked out. You think those guys don't know who the better quarterback is at practice? They know. And the longer Sanders stays on the bench, the more it signals to the locker room that politics matter more than performance. That's not just bad culture. That's toxic. And if you don't think this could reach a boiling point, you haven't been paying attention to how fast things move in the NFL when dysfunction goes unchecked. The Sanders family has remained publicly quiet so far. But let's not pretend Dion doesn't see what's happening here. The silence is strategic. And if it flips, if Dion or someone close to Shedeur decides enough is enough, the blowback could be severe. A single interview, a cryptic tweet, a comment to the media. That's all it takes to set this entire situation on fire. And once that happens, Cleveland won't be able to contain the narrative anymore. It'll be national headlines. It'll be daily talk show segments. It'll be how did the Browns ruin another quarterback all over again. And given their history, they're not getting the benefit of the doubt. They never get the benefit of the doubt. Because this isn't a first-time mistake. This is decades of the same pattern. Draft the wrong guy. Bench the right one. Panic. Blame the coach. Fire everyone. Start over. Rinse. Repeat. And here they are again, trapped in the same cycle, just with a different cast. Only this time, the stakes feel higher. Because Shedeur Sanders could be the guy. He has the tools, the pedigree, the spotlight. And more importantly, he has time. But every week he doesn't play. That time gets wasted. Every rep he doesn't take is a rep that could have helped him read defenses, build chemistry with receivers, find rhythm with the offensive line. Every delay in development sets him back and sends the wrong message to every other player on the roster. If they can bench him, they can bench anyone. At 2-6, what is there to lose? The playoffs? Gone. The momentum? Dead. The locker room buy-in? Hanging by a thread. If there was ever a time to pivot, to be bold and change course, it's right now. The fans want it. The analysts are calling for it. Even insiders are saying Stefanski pushed for it. So why hasn't it happened? Because Cleveland isn't run like a team trying to win. It's run like a team trying not to admit it's wrong. And that mentality is a virus. It infects every part of the organization. It's why they keep losing seasons. Why they burn through coaches. Why the word Browns has become shorthand for dysfunction. They can't get out of their own way, even when the answer is right there, in a uniform, standing on the sideline. So now, all eyes are on the next move. Does Sanders play? Does someone finally override the fear and just start him? Or do they wait until the season is so far gone that even giving him a shot feels like an afterthought? Either way, the pressure isn't going away. It's building. And once it breaks, when the fans, the media, the locker room, and eventually Shedeur himself decide enough is enough, it'll be too late for damage control. This was supposed to be a year of transition, growth, potential. Instead, it's turned into another Cleveland implosion, only this time, with even more people watching. Let me know what you think. Has the Browns' handling of Sanders been the final straw? Do you think Stefanski survives this? Does Barry? And most importantly, if Shedeur gets the chance, is it already too late to salvage the situation? Drop your thoughts below. Like this video if you're as exhausted with the Browns' mismanagement as everyone else. Share it with someone who's still clinging to the Gabriel experiment. And don't forget to subscribe. Because if you think this quarterback saga is messy now, just wait until Shedeur finally speaks.